Hello and welcome back to the Transfer Flow. And on today's episode, Barcelona sign a keeper and pursue Nico Williams. But how are they going to afford all this? Liverpool sell Jerome Quansah as part of the Wirtz deal, but with a striker and defenders still on their shopping list, could they break £300 million this summer? Plus, we've got exciting signings for Wolves and Villareal, plus a potential home for Marcus Rashford. That's all on today's episode of the Transfer Flow. So, the transfer window number one may be closed, but transfer rumours are still buzzing. And to help us sift through them today, we've got Neel out here. How are you doing, Neel? It's good to see you.
Yep, I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Patrick?
I'm good, man. I'm good. We probably shouldn't get into how you're doing.
Actually, no, that's a better idea.
But we've really enjoyed having you on the show, Neel, just in case. Should we talk about some transfers then? Because first, we've got Barcelona. Barcelona, busy for a team with absolutely no money and quite a lot of problems.
But they do have a lot of seats, so it's all good.
Yeah, they're splashing some cash though, and they've got Joan Garcia through the door. So he's a 24-year-old goalkeeper, joins from Espanyol for about 25 million euros. He's been coveted by a lot of people. Last summer, supposedly Arsenal tried to close a deal for him. He's been on the shortlist of a great many clubs, Man City as well, reportedly having a look. Barca got him in, pretty good fee, good age. The question is, or my question is, they're also trying to get Nico Williams in, who's going to cost a lot and ask absolutely insane wages. They're currently in a kind of war with Marc-Andre Ter Stegen. How are they doing this, Neel?
Well, you're asking the wrong person because I have just as many questions as you. I have absolutely no idea. Like, they're probably going to pull some more levers. They're going to, I don't know what else they can sell. I think they've sold most of the stuff, but maybe they find some new stuff to sell. So you never know. But yeah, I mean, it's, I genuinely cannot make financial sense of it. But at least from a sporting perspective, like, it does make sense for them to sign Joan Garcia for a decent fee, obviously expensive, but nothing crazy. And a player who adds some quality to, I guess, one of the positions in their squad, which is probably like most clearly not in need, but definitely can use an upgrade. If you look at the rest of their squad, there's obviously so many youngsters and such, world-class talents already, right? So there's not much to be done there. But at goalkeeper, we saw, of course, last season they had to get Chesney back from retirement. And well, that went about as well as you'd expect. In fact, it went better than I expected. But still, every time he went out of the box, you were like, "Oh, what's going on here?" Like, it looks dangerous. And then obviously Marc-Andre Ter Stegen with the long-term injury, so you don't know how good he's going to be coming back. And anyway, I know many Barca fans felt even before his injury that he certainly was declining. I think at this point, like, I think there's definitely some element of Barca fans probably being overly harsh of Ter Stegen. I think he was good at some point, and he was good at certain stuff. But now for this team, you probably want an upgrade. So I think Garcia gives you that in most respects. This was definitely his breakout season in La Liga. He previously started for like half a season in the second division last time for Espanyol when they got promoted, but this was his first like full season, and he was exceptional, right? I mean, first of all, he just kind of stands out with just how tall he is, and how well he commands his 6 yard box. Especially if you look at his cross claiming numbers, they're fantastic. And even if you watch him, he inspires a lot of confidence with just how he goes out, claims the ball securely, mostly with his hands, catches it or punches, makes good decisions, and also has really good reach for shot stopping. So he's excellent at stopping shots and crosses. Obviously, Espanyol don't play out the way Barca do, so you don't see the same kind of ball playing stuff. But like, when he had space and time, he'd try some very intricate chip passes with his right foot and try and hit like the forward's chest, for example. And at least from what I saw, he showed like good accuracy and like good weight of passing. So I think there's definitely very good potential there for him to be a completely comfortable ball player. My main question is how well he sweeps, because again, at Espanyol, we haven't seen a lot of that. And sweeping is like one of the key roles of the Barca keeper because of their insanely high line. So that's something we got to see. I'm not saying he's bad at it or good at it. I'm just saying I don't know because I haven't seen much of it. So that's probably the big question. But in all other respects, I think he is an upgrade on the options they have. And as you said, quite young, so got a very long career ahead of him, especially in goalkeeper terms. So makes a good deal of sense in all those respects.
Hmm. Yeah, that's my one concern as well. Well, one and a half concerns. How the playmaking can develop, I guess, is a question, because Ter Stegen at his best was really, really excellent there. And yeah, coming out of the area. I mean, on the plus side, if you're just a little bit faster than Chesney, which you should be as a professional sportsman, then that will be a bit of an upgrade, because we saw Chesney really lumbering out of the box at times this season. Whether he has that in his, it's one of those things where maybe there's data we don't have access to, or maybe there's national team stuff where people have seen a little bit more here. And certainly that cross claiming stuff, he really profiles well for stopping crosses, which will be reasonably useful in La Liga, but could also be useful in continental competition.
And especially for Barca, given like how overall the short the team is, especially
Yes,
like you think
yeah.
about corners, like Barca defending corners has been a concern just because of the height. And I mean, in midfield they don't have a lot of height. Up front they don't have a lot of height except Lewandowski really, and even at the back they have some shorter guys. So with him coming in, you can at least be more confident that your 6 yard box at least will be more secure against corners coming in. I mean, he was like 91st percentile for cross claims in the last year. So, like that's definitely one aspect where he'll be clearly improving the team, I guess. But yeah, as you say, the ball playing and sweeping stuff, I guess we'll find out.
Well, and we'll find out what they do with Ter Stegen, because Ter Stegen supposedly has beef with the club because he thinks they've been leaking these reports about his behavior behind the scenes, right? But he was also one of those senior players who, during COVID, agreed this deferred wage deal. A bunch of these guys agreed these deals with Barca to take the financial burden off the club, where they were essentially going to get paid till the end of time. Um, and now, shock horror, Barcelona think, no, you should just be grateful to have worn our shirt, and we actually don't want to pay you any of that money. But I mean, look, as a player, you should never make an agreement with Barcelona which, one, relies on them keeping their word, two, relies on them having money in the future.
Yeah,
Because
as anyone, even as a club, like get
sure,
those transfer fees now. Don't wait for like
yeah,
2028 or whatever when they say they'll sell some more seats or whatever. Get the money in hand.
yeah. Well, this is the thing. Athletic Club are gonna make sure that they get paid, and I'm
Yeah.
sure Espanyol did as well. But to get rid of Ter Stegen wants his full. He's got another 3 years on his deal, and he wants 42 million euros that they owe him in order to leave, which is extremely funny. Barcelona do not have that. So, like you said, I'm intrigued to see how they make all this happen. Right now, Barcelona fans are crowing online about the fact that they look like getting Nico Williams. And knowing Barcelona, they will somehow manage to have Nico Williams wearing their shirt on the first day of the season. However, how they're going to do it,
How many
I
court
truly don't know.
cases we get this time?
But they just know that they win, man. Like, this is the thing. It's like Man City. Man City, who were meant to be punished, right, for all these rule breaks, nothing has happened, gone weirdly quiet, just pretending we don't know about it. If it ever actually gets handed down, the result of that, and they don't get a real punishment, they are going to go on a crime spree, the likes of which has never been seen. And Barcelona have essentially been doing that for years, right? Every time they go to war with La Liga, they win, and they say, okay, guess what we've got coming for you next year? More financial crime.
See you again.
Um, so look, I mean, they are building a really exciting club. I completely agree. Like, when we looked at Barcelona this season, the goalkeeper and to a lesser extent the fullbacks, these were zones where we said, okay, you maybe have some concerns here. Though there's obviously talent, but there are maybe some concerns. Bringing Garcia is going to be a huge help for them, because at times it was like taking corners or something against an amateur team at times in the Champions League. So they look like being a great team next season. Though Flick second season is always an interesting one. Shall we move on to another player out of Spain then? Because Wolves, who presumably got lost on their way to Portugal, have brought in Fer Lopez from Celta Vigo. So he's 21 years old. They paid about £20 million for him. And it's an interesting one because he turned 21 at the end of the season, but he's only just got into the first team. It's quite late for a young attacker to be getting first team minutes. And he didn't get that many minutes, right? He spent a lot of the season injured.
Yeah, but I mean, for one, his agent is indeed Mendes, I believe. So I think
Hmm.
he just redirected the flight. But no, I mean, yeah, it's an interesting one because, as you say, doesn't have a lot of game time. Is a pretty high fee. I feel like that's the main thing. Although I guess you've come to expect these kinds of fees being demanded from Premier League clubs at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, like he's a very exciting player. Like
Mm.
from whatever I've seen of him, he was really fun to watch and really caught the eye. He is quite tall, but he kind of profiles as more of like a diminutive number 10-ish kind of player. I mean,
Mm.
he's got excellent close control. He operates in those tight spaces, likes to cut inside. He started more on the right for Celta, so he likes to cut inside onto his left foot and kind of play some nice passes from the half space, or even like get somewhere around the box for shots. So he's an interesting profile that way.
Mm.
I mean, he's like I said, he's tall, but he's like not really good in duels still.
Hmm.
Nothing
Hmm.
like stand out in the air, not even stand out like box crashing or anything. So he's more of a ball to feet guy, despite his like physical profile. But I mean, with that being said, you could maybe say that Wolves think, okay, so he's already got all of these on-ball qualities, and
Hmm.
now he has the physical profile you'd imagine to improve some of the like the duels and kind of box crashing,
Yeah.
attacking crosses and stuff. So they might think that okay, if we put all that together, we get a really good player. So I guess that's the kind of thought process from their end. But yeah, it's a higher side on the fee. I mean, it does also make sense for Wolves after selling Cunha that they get a ball to feet kind of attacker, albeit
Hmm.
probably on
Hmm.
on another side. Because if you look at like the rest of their front three, effectively, most of them are like more of the physical duel winning kind of guys, right? I mean, at one point they even had
Yeah.
Marshall Munetsi, who was a defensive midfielder when he was signed, and coming through. But they even played him up front. And of course, they've also got ex Celta striker Strand Larsen. So they
Yeah.
do have those like off ball runners, stronger physical profiles. And so I guess they're adding a more on ball guy here. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see because just had over half a season really in La Liga, right? With the injury. And yeah, I mean, on one hand, like when we think about his lack of minutes previously, you might also think that it can partly be attributed to Celta maybe not using their youth academy as well as you might have liked previously, versus now with Claudio Hiraldes in charge, who was formerly a coach of the B team. He's really been pushing the academy kids through. They had like 11
Hmm.
graduates in the squad last season, including
Wow.
9 from like born in 2000 or later. So they were a really exciting team, really in La Liga. Like they were one of the most fun teams to watch. So yeah, I guess that's probably like the one explanation you'd have for that. But still, yeah, I mean, on the whole, I'd say fun player, but fee is on the bigger side. So yeah, it'll be interesting. In fact, he's the third highest sale in Celta's history. Do you want to guess who the top two are?
Hmm. Who else have they had? Aspas.
But not in the top two.
Yeah, he must have been. He was like 18 or something, right? Who's the top two?
One of them was quite recent, and another one is a favorite of the Transfer Flow podcast.
One is one Lobotka,
Yep.
and the other. I mean, what is the Strand Larsen like?
I don't remember, but he's not in the top two.
The other Celta player. I don't know. Who is it?
It's Gabri Vega.
Oh,
He's the
okay,
top one.
sure, yeah, that makes
Saudi
sense. All
money.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, Saudi money. Okay, yeah, I really like taking a gamble on this kind of player, because yeah, okay, he's more of an attacking midfielder than a right winger, but he's a left-footed player. He had like 5 expected goals and assists in like 890s, which is pretty great. And like you say, he's 6'2". He in those limited minutes, top 1% for pressures, top 10% for touches in the box. Like there's a load of stuff here where you're like, oh, okay, I can easily see how this leads to more production in the long term. But with Cunha gone and Nuri gone, you kind of, if you're Wolves, need to buy guys who you can just drop into your team and get production from now. And if
Yeah.
you get him, yeah, like you can still get value. Like if you get relegated, for example, you're going to get value. And if he plays in the Premier League, you're going to get value. But you might get relegated while you're waiting for these guys to develop. So I look at him and I think, yeah, if like West Ham had done this and said, here's a guy who can maybe replace Paquetá, Bowen, or someone like long term, great. But we're not like really gambling, like we're not gambling our lives on him this season. With Wolves, I think, again, I like it, but he's been injured a lot. He's got very few minutes. And if he doesn't land, especially given the profile of some of the teams coming up, a couple of these sides look like some of the better sides we've seen get promoted in a while. You do get a bit concerned for Wolves. Like, what's it going to look like if they go down?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you have to see what they do in the rest of the window, right? Like,
Yeah,
if they do get
I don't know how
another
much money
guy,
they've got. That's the thing.
that's true. But if like for say somewhere like double the fee for they paid for Lopez, which would in total come to somewhere around the amount they got for selling Cunha.
Yeah, yeah,
If for that money you get a good kind of forward, like some of the guys we spoke about as alternatives for Cunha from Liga, right? If they can somehow go and
yeah,
get one of those guys, then you're like, okay, so now here's one guy who's our more immediate replacement for Cunha, and we're relying on immediately to get us goals and assists and output. And
yeah.
here's another cool talent who we can develop, and he'll give us a bit this season, but he's not our main guy. Because I'm completely with you. If you're relying on Lopez to do stuff this season, that's a big gamble.
Yeah, I think they've been linked to Guesson, who we talked about a little
Yep.
bit. Like that kind of move. Yeah, you're right. If they did something like that, I'd be really, really happy, and I'd be a lot more. I'd feel a lot safer in my feelings about them. But as it is, they've completely decimated their left hand side. With Cunha and Ait Nouri going out. I'm just a bit concerned about what that's going to be like. Okay. But Fer Lopez, excited to see him in the Premier League, and could be something really exciting. Next up, we've got Marcus Rashford. So Marcus Rashford obviously spent the second half of the season on loan at Aston Villa. They had a buy clause of about 40 million, which we kind of hated at the time, too much money. But he was pretty decent there. He only played 400 minutes in the league, but including Champions League, played about 8 or 9 90s and got like 6 expected goals and assists. So he was really putting up numbers in that time, but lots of sub minutes. Interestingly as well, like his numbers leaned more creative than they've done in the past, where obviously he's been much more of a goal scorer. What did you make of his time at Aston Villa? And now he's been linked to Newcastle. How do you think he could fit at a club like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an interesting time at Villa, as you say. I mean, to be fair, I was expecting that kind of a role from him because it
Yeah.
was clear Villa weren't signing him to be a striker, right? They already had a couple of guys there. They were signing him to play behind the striker from the left side as he did. So
Yeah.
I think, that kind of showed his, I guess, versatility to an extent, and the fact that he can also be a creative option from that side, besides obviously cutting in and shooting, or even starting central and posing a threat kind of in and around the box. I think he showed quite good dribbling at times.
Yeah.
He was a threat very often one on one. So yeah, definitely a lot of good kind of traits, which we know he has. I mean, the big question, as you say, for one is a fee, and even more so is the wage, right? How much is he going to ask for at a new club? And I mean, his current wage, you surely expect, will not be. I mean, no one's going to take that on
Mhm.
except Man United because they do that. But then Newcastle, I mean, this isn't. I'm not too sold on this one because I just don't see, like, is he like the best way I can see him fitting is rotation minutes,
Yeah.
and you do not spend this amount of money on rotation minutes, no matter who you are, let alone a club who are building and need to spend their money wisely to get to the very top, which is where they want to get. I don't think you can spend this money on someone who is not going to start likely ahead of Anthony Gordon, and is not going to really be a replacement for Isak even if he leaves. I think you would want someone else. I mean, like there is maybe more of a profile match to an extent there, but I don't think it's enough. I don't think Rashford is going to like lead the line well enough, and especially given the fact he didn't play striker at Villa, right? He played off the left, so
Mhm.
it would be a
Mhm.
huge gamble, and I don't think you can take that kind of gamble. So I'm not too sold on this move. I know in the newsletter today, as we record on Monday, Kim also said that he would like to go to Barcelona, which yes, I too would like to go to Barcelona,
Yeah.
but I don't think that's happening. So yeah, like these none of these ones like make sense from both the clubs or even Rashford's perspective, really. So yeah, I don't know what you think, but I can't see this one working out.
I kind of agree. Like, I mean, the place where they've got a hole is the place in the front line where I don't want to play Rashford at all. Um, so some of these stories say that they would be interested in buying him, but then I saw a couple that said maybe late in the window they might think about a season-long loan with United paying some portion of the wages, and I was like, well, yeah, that would be good. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
if you,
if United are taking the money, giving you the money, then that's all good.
yeah, and clearly he can play this kind of role. Like, if you bring it to me, this feels very much like a late August, windows winding down. We maybe need one more. How much of the wages will United cover for us to pay like 100K towards Rashford's salary? Like,
Yeah,
if you can do something like that late in the window, then I think that makes loads of sense. And I'd be completely fine with them doing that. But it's kind of the Fer Lopez thing where I think like this is a nice thing to have, but only in conjunction with a move for the actual player you need to improve your first 11 now. Because like you say, Newcastle have money behind them, but you can't have that many misses when you're trying to break into a closed club. And the teams around them, like Liverpool, we'll come on to them in a minute, but Liverpool could spend over 300 million this summer. Arsenal will presumably spend at least 200 million. City are adding players left and right. Chelsea are looking to upgrade aggressively. It just feels like if Newcastle really want to be consistent contenders for the Champions League places, then they can't be chucking away an extra 20, 30 million here or there because Eddie Howe's got target lock, because this guy speaks English, because this guy has like the right flag next to his name on FIFA. Like they need to be a little bit more like mission disciplined than that, I think. But I will say that Rashford at Villa panned out better than we thought. Like in his actual output, I still don't know about it being worth the money, but like he panned out better than we thought. And there's still a player there. Like he's not even old. He just feels old.
he's been around for so long. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Like
Exactly.
if the finances make sense, then for as we saw at Villa, like off the bench, he's a big threat, And if you get him at a price where he is makes sense to be a rotation option, then he's probably one of the better rotation options you can get actually.
Yeah.
So then it's a great deal. But yeah, I wouldn't like as you say, he's not the guy you're going for. He's like an additional guy. Would be nice
Yeah.
to have.
Exactly. Okay. Well, I promised Liverpool, so shall we come on to Liverpool? Liverpool have obviously closed their deal for Florian Wirtz, and going the other way is Jarrell Quansah. So the price was originally reported as about 25 million, then 30 million, now 35 million. And as suggested in our newsletter, it kind of does feel like maybe Leverkusen have been asked to pay a bit more upfront in the fee, and Liverpool will pay them off over the course of the Wirtz amortization, and that will give them more wiggle room this summer because obviously sales are booked as immediate profit and it's pure profit because Quansah's an academy guy. That will help them a lot, given that they are spending quite a bit. We're at just under 190 mil maybe with Frimpong, Kirkes, and Wirtz, and they want a striker and they need a centre back. Made about 50 mil off Kelleher and Quansah so far. But what do you think about Quansah going? Because Kim put his radar for this last season, where he barely played, in the newsletter. But the season before, I think he looked considerably better, and we were pretty high on him last summer.
Yeah, but I think on the back of last season, it seems that I mean, for one is a question of like his potential and whether he can actually grow to the level where he is, even maybe long term a consistent starter for Liverpool. And two is also Arne Slot trusting him for backup minutes, rotation minutes
Mm-hmm.
behind Konate, for example. And I guess, yeah, like to be honest, from last season, I too was not too convinced. So I think it does make sense for them to move him on and get in someone who will get those minutes consistently, who will almost form like a three center back rotation, because I mean, as you guys have spoken about before, yeah, the way Liverpool are building their squad, I mean, we're still not 100% sure exactly how they'll even set up. But regardless of what they do, there's going to be a lot of responsibility and a lot of demand on their centre backs.
Yeah.
Their fullbacks, I mean, especially on the right, like Frimpong's just going to be gone. It's just going to be the centre back there, and you've got to hold everything down. So you need a guy who you're kind of willing, basically, bet your house on. And I don't think Quansah is someone you do that for. So yeah, it does make sense to move him on and get him an upgrade, and an immediate upgrade, someone who you can sort of bank on right from this season. Because Konate as well, right? He's had not the best injury record, so you don't really want to be pushing him for 50 games. You do want consistent rotation with him. So, and of course, Van Dijk's not getting any younger. So yeah, it makes sense from that perspective. But obviously, I think at the end, how good this like sort of sale was and how good a decision this was can only be kind of determined depending on who they bring in. So they have to bring in obviously a pretty good guy, like I said, and yeah, I mean, based on Liverpool's track record, you'd expect that will happen.
But this is the thing that scares me though, because yeah, Konate is going to have to do a lot in this team. Getting somebody who's able to cover for him on that side, but at the same time, we want somebody who can maybe play on the left and potentially be a long-term heir to Van Dijk. Like, we're now looking at two players, young centre backs, who are good on the ball, who can cover a load of space and are athletic. Like, that is huge money right there. Like if you want to go out and get Hato or Lukeba on the left, and I don't know who you want for the right hand side, they apparently want Gehi, who, as we know, is not going for peanuts. That it's also a lot of turnover in the first 11. Ravi and I were talking earlier in the season about rotation in the team, right? And he was saying that when you rotate 4+ players, you see a real drop off. But Liverpool look like they're going to switch over potentially 5 starters this summer, something like that. Like, admittedly, they've got a couple of players there who can probably just make stuff work, and the midfield will be largely untouched. But given that they're making these decisions to win now, I do wonder how easy it's going to be to win now, given that all these guys have got to develop new relationships basically instantaneously.
Yeah, but I mean, on the other side, you could argue that, they're going for a rebuild this summer. So they're just going all in. Like,
Sure.
on the right, you've already got Frimpong coming in, so he's already like a new player there. So you might as well chuck another guy in, and maybe look, maybe
Sure.
it doesn't go as well as you want. I mean, obviously, you'd expect the title race to be much more competitive than it was last season. But also last season, we were saying there's no way like Liverpool can even. I thought it was going to be City, Arsenal, and Liverpool behind them,
Yeah.
as many people did, and then they ran away with it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess they got a big win last season. I mean, it's clear they have to rebuild. It's not like something they're doing kind of just for the heck of it. They have to do it. So I guess from that perspective, it makes sense to go all in this season, even if you maybe don't. Even if it takes like some time to adapt and don't do as well, you can at least bank on the fact that next season you'll be shaping up very strongly, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to go rather than like split it, half the rebuild this season, half the rebuild next season, and you're kind of in between, and maybe both seasons, because if City and Arsenal do step up, it's going to be a real challenge, and you have to be on your A game to compete with
Sure.
them. So from that perspective, maybe they might not do as well as they'd like this season, but next season they'll be in good shape to really push them all the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, this leaves them needing at least 2 centre backs, you would say,
Yep.
because with him out of the door, you've only really got Gomez, Van Dijk, and Konate. Even if they think, oh, well, in a perfect world, maybe Robertson or someone gives us some left centre back minutes, it just doesn't seem plausible to me.
Yep.
How much are they going to spend this summer, Neel? Is this going to be like 350 mil, right?
Yeah, could well be. I mean, as you said, depends on who they get, especially for that right centre back slot. Because when you think about all this spending, I would be a bit hesitant on spending that big an amount on Gehi when
Mm-hmm.
he's not really exactly a starter option. So I guess maybe you could cut the amount down a little bit there, and look for some alternative options.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think 300's extremely likely to get passed. So a big summer indeed.
Wow. Well, Liverpool going to be a lot of fun to watch next year. I think the Liverpool City going to be entirely different sides next season,
Yeah.
whereas teams like Chelsea and Arsenal are presumably just going to be slightly evolved versions of what they were this season. Okay. Well, shall we go on then to a centre back who looks to be on his way out of the Premier League? I can't remember the last time something like this happened, where the ninth placed Premier League team sold their two starting centre backs, one to Real Madrid and one to the reigning Champions League holders. Illia Zabarnyi looks like he's on his way to PSG. They've been kind of quietly getting this done, it seems, quietly negotiating. Bournemouth, I think, looking for something like 60 million to say goodbye to him. He's 22 years old. What do you think of him? Because I was kind of surprised to see so much debate about this. I saw people saying that they actually thought Zabarnyi was better than Huijsen, which I thought was quite punchy. But he's certainly a good defender, and he's now got a couple of seasons in the Premier League as well as some time in Ukraine. What do you think about him for PSG specifically, I guess?
I think for PSG specifically, it's a good move.
Mm.
I think again the fee is like on the higher side, but obviously we know PSG don't have problems with money, and they also don't really have that big a problem with the squad. I mean, it's a super young squad, as we've discussed a lot, and they've just gone and won the Champions League, almost went unbeaten in France, so it's all looking good. So I guess you can afford to slightly overspend a bit, and this is the position where I did think they needed that reinforcement, because like really Marquinhos is pretty much their only reliable right-sided centre back option, and he's old, and the rest of the team is young, so he's like a real outlier. And now I guess he's not necessarily going to start every game ahead of Marquinhos, but in the long term, I think he can be the kind of heir. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if he's better than Huijsen. I think, as you say, that's probably a push, but he was, I would say, he was a very good kind of partner to Huijsen, right? Because he was a
Yeah.
very solid defender, more disciplined, not doing as much on the ball, just keeping things sticking, keeping the passes moving, not really carrying forward or looking for those like long range passes so much. He was like held his position, kept the ball moving, and was quite a good deep defender. Really good aerial command around the box. And yeah, like if you look at his stats, like nothing's popping, but that's not necessarily bad for a center back. He's just
Hmm.
getting the job done, and sometimes that's enough if you have enough quality around them. And PSG certainly do have enough quality everywhere they look.
Yeah.
So I think it does make sense from that perspective, especially when you think his partner at PSG when he starts will likely be Pacho, who is more of that expansive kind of guy who will carry forward, who will pick some more passes, and of course they'll have like Nuno Mensch or Vitinha or whoever dropping to the left side of the back line, and again just progressing the ball. So they don't need ball progression. They just need someone who's solid. They probably do need someone like better in the air around the box. So he takes that kind of box, and yeah, he like fits their sort of youth revolution kind of thing. And even though he's young, he has all that experience, like you said. So I think it makes all the sense from those perspectives, and that justifies maybe paying a bit more than you might ideally like.
Yeah, that's my main issue with it. Insofar as I have an issue with it, I don't really care. But it does just feel a little bit too much. Like he is good in the air, like you say. Defensively, he's seen a big improvement from last season to this season. Right, like last season he was winning under half his tackles and interceptions. This season he's up near 70%. So that's a huge improvement. But he looks, he's above average for progressive passing, for ball carrying. It's just that I guess I look at a 60 million euro fee and I think, do you not want this guy to be like a bit special for that kind of
Yeah.
money? Like Howson does seem a bit special.
Yeah.
And I look at Zabarnyi and I'm like, you're a good, quite conventional defender. But I guess actually, given what you've said about the fullbacks, it does kind of make sense to get a good conventional defender. You're like, your job in this team is not to start play. Your job in this team is not to make everything tick. Your job is to defend.
Exactly. Just don't do anything crazy. Just defend, keep us solid at the
Mm.
back, and we'll take care of the rest. So for PSG alone, it makes sense. Like for another team, maybe it wouldn't make so much sense to pay this kind of fee. But PSG, I think, again, like financially, it's not a problem for them really.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're gonna have even like FFP wise or whatever. They're gonna have a big budget anyway with the Champions League win, with the Club World Cup, all
Mhm.
that money coming in. So yeah, it makes sense for them.
And they can always make money. I mean, like we've seen guys.
Another sponsorship deal.
Well, and even just like the academy grads, like
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
seen over the last few years, guys come out, and yeah, maybe those people end up moving for bigger fees, but every year there's someone like Zaire Emery or Bitshabu or whoever it is, who you think, okay, well, you can move this guy on in a little bit for probably a reasonable fee. Like Zaire Emery now is not a starter for them. We don't know if Bradley Barker is going to be a starter for them next season. So when everything's going your way, everything's going your way. Okay. I've got one more before we go. I thought it'd be fun to do the Ravi Ramaneni Villareal corner, memorial corner. Alberto Moleiro has joined Villareal from Las Palmas for 16 million euros. The Las Palmas Academy has kind of been cooking the last few years, right? They produced Pedri, they produced Raul Asensio, Jeremy Pino, like he's out of that academy as well. And now Moleiro, 21 years old, gone to Villareal, who were really exciting, really fun to watch last season, replacing Alex Baena, right? This is a move I love. I think this is super fun because he's a right-footed left winger, but he really wants to come inside and play make. He only got about 7 goal involvements last season. That's off 9 expected goals and assists. So you want to see his output tick up. But at the same time, he's going from the 19th place team to a team which was scoring at a rate in line with the top sides. So he's going to have better runners around him. But he's an interesting guy because he's not that sort of winger where you expect to see him that much at the side of the box, carrying into the box, right? Like he tends to do his carrying deeper, drive the team upfield. But he is creating quite a lot of shots from take-ons. He was 8th in La Liga for that last season. And he's also doing some midfieldery stuff, some possession regains and stuff. What do you think about Moleiro? Because to me, I think this price for a player of this age with La Liga experience, I think this is super fun. I'm excited to see this one.
No, I'm absolutely with you. And in fact, like you said, he's probably a Baena replacement. And like, I cannot think of a better Baena replacement, not just in La Liga, I mean, like really anywhere else. Because he does pretty much the exact same stuff you want. Like, if you think, if you picture Baena and like the main kind of actions he does on the pitch, the first thing that I think of is, kind of around the edge of the attacking third from the left side, cutting into his like right foot, and then hitting like a cross towards the far
To the back
post, kind of
post.
thing. Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yeah, if you watch his highlights, you're like, yep, there are 20 of these in there.
That's exactly it. And Moleiro definitely has that in the locker. He loves to cut inside, as you say. I mean, regardless of whether you start him like as a wide winger or in the half space, he is going to want to cut inside onto that right foot, and he definitely has that creative passing. I mean, you look at his highlights as well, you'll see a lot of those kind of balls inside from the half space. So perfect kind of replacement there. He's I think a pretty good dribbler too. He can kind of evade challenges well and has some silky control to get through tight spaces. And yeah, like again, his vision, weight of passing, even weight of like or rather striking of his shots is pretty promising on his right foot. I think he could work on his link up passing a bit. I felt sometimes he held onto the ball a bit too much, but again, as you say, it was Las Palmas, 19th best team, not the best attack. Now he's going to Villarreal, where he'll definitely have better players around him. And yeah, again with the shots as well, I said he took a lot of shots. I mean, I think he took too many shots really. He was kind of like a pot shooter sometimes. But again, maybe at Villarreal you expect that to improve with better players and more passing options. So yeah, like all things considered, 16 million, not a big fee at all compared to what they're selling Baena for. And yeah, I mean, he's also another guy who's quite young, 21, but already has a lot of experience. He's been a regular feature for Las Palmas over the last 4 seasons, including in the Segunda and La Liga. I mean, kind of in and out of the starting position, depending on other players, but definitely a regular feature off the bench at least. He's got a lot of experience already. And yeah, profile wise, it's a perfect fit, and that's great because Villarreal aren't doing a crazy rebuild. Like the rest of their squad doesn't look like it's going too far. You might obviously have a striker sale with Barry potentially, but then they'll find another guy as they keep doing. So yeah, it just makes great sense for them. So fun move, and as you said, I think I said Celta were a fun team to watch in La Liga. I placed them second behind Villarreal. So like they're going to be great to watch again next season for sure.
Yeah, they're just a really easy team to love, and I think the way that they always manage to rebuild, either with young buys like Barrio Molero, and also undervalued older players like Perez, like Nicola Pepe last season. Like they always get value out of these people. They've got a real coach. I'm a big fan of Villareal. Um, we're just about finished here. Are there any last moves that you'd like us to touch on before we get out of here? Because I know there was one that you thought was funny and should definitely happen.
Yeah, for one, we had Emi Martinez being linked with United, and yeah, look, I know like I'm not the most popular with United fans, but like I have nothing against them. They
No.
just keep giving me these opportunities to laugh at them. So
Yeah.
I will take them and I will laugh because the rumored fee was like what 50 million or something,
Jesus.
and I mean
What?
look, I mean, obviously we don't know if it's going to happen, but it would be absolutely hilarious if it does. Because going from Onana, who obviously has had issues, to Martinez, who I think is, I mean, at least among like more casual viewers, quite overrated. And when I say
Mm,
overrated, I don't mean bad, right?
yeah.
Overrated doesn't necessarily mean is bad, but people think is good. It can also mean is decent, but people think he's the best. And
For example,
that's the
FIFA. FIFA
exactly.
think he's the best.
Yeah. So
Every year, FIFA are like,
every,
who's the best keeper in the
who's a
world?
goalkeeper?
Emi Martinez. Like, and then I think I'm pretty certain I saw Emi Martinez, like spoon across into his own goal the previous weekend. He does have very high profile errors with Emi Martinez, so he is an easy player to hate.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
I do kind of
I
hate
don't
him.
even. Yeah, I think he's pretty good actually. Like, I don't think he's
He's
bad.
okay.
He does his job. He's generally going to give you good shot stopping. Nothing special on the ball really. I mean, I would say he's a worse ball player than Onana was at Inter, but United
For
absolutely
sure.
killed the guy's confidence. So, I mean, how's it going to be different for Martinez? I don't know, because the problem is like in the team and like who's he even going to pass to. So yeah, like from that perspective, I can't really see like he gives you again just with the confidence thing for Onana. He maybe gives you like a few less errors and a bit better shot stopping, but you're gonna drop 50
Mm.
million on that when you still don't have a very competent defensive midfielder. All right, man, look, do it. Yeah,
He might be the one goalkeeper in the world though whose confidence is impossible
yeah,
to
that
destroy.
that's actually a good point. That's a
Emi
good point.
Martinez could have the worst game of any goalkeeper of all time, and he would still go out. If the next match was like the World Cup final, I'd be like, he'll be completely unaffected. Like he genuinely might go out and be incredible, like having
Yeah,
had such a
actually,
terrible game.
you know what? You've convinced me now. Like I definitely want to. Like this is the ultimate test. This is like the unstoppable force versus immovable object. Like what will happen here? Will Martinez tank at United, or will he manage to keep his confidence despite being at United? Let's see it. Let's see it.
We sent a man with zero self-awareness to play in goal for Manchester United.
Here's
Like
what
what?
happened.
What did he experience? Ego death. Oh my
Oh
god.
god.
Okay. Well, look, I'm always in favor of Man United doing stuff
Yes.
because either it'll make them better, which will make their fans presumably happy, or it'll keep them rubbish, which is very funny for us. Look, Emi Martinez. I've got to say though, just don't do it.
Do
Especially
it.
because the rumored backup. If we can't get Martinez, we might get Karnaseki. It's like, yeah, do that. He's way better and he'll be cheaper. Okay, Neel, I think that just about wraps us for today. Anything else that we should say before we go? And where can people find you?
Yep, you can find me over at Chill with Neel on Blue Sky and Twitter. Yeah, you'll see my thoughts on some of these interesting transfers and Club World Cup stuff as well. That's been enjoyable for me at least. I'm about one of the 10 people in the world enjoying it, I guess. But yeah, go follow me there.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here, and thank you to you at home for being here too. Thank you for listening or watching. Please do like, subscribe, leave us reviews, all that good stuff, and we will catch you very, very soon. Bye bye.